The Newberry is an amazing library with a world-class collection that is meant for everyone. Over 600 years of history, maps, archives, books, musical manuscripts, and then all these materials are used by scholars, by students, by people looking at their own family histories. We have wonderful public programs in adult education. So, humanities for everyone.
If I had one wish for the Newberry, it would be that everyone understood just how easy it is to engage with us. You do not need to be a scholar or an academic. You do not need an advanced degree or to be a student. You don't even need to want to do research in our reading rooms. You just have to be curious and excited about exploring a topic that's interesting to you.
You can look at whatever you want here. To be able to hold these objects, literally turn through the pages, it's putting you in direct contact with the past. You don't need to be working on a PhD to come in here, you just basically need a photo ID and some curiosity. There's so much that is happening in the Newberry collection. It's not static, it's constantly growing. I just started putting a daily item out. I do try to bring a sense of discovery to anything I do, whether it's an exhibition or a random bookmark that's been left for centuries. Finding sort of this resonance across the collection is something I find really exciting. People being able to tell their own story through the materials, you can really have a very personal engagement.
We came out with the concept of creating a class called Inventing Mexico through the map collection. We were able to look at documents from the 15th century to the 19th century as it pertains to the colonization of the Americas. I'm always pushing students to come over here, questioning the archive, not fearing the archive, and taking advantage of the archive are three important rules that I pass on to all my students.
I love everything about genealogy. I love the research, I love helping people out, I love finding new ancestors. In spite of the billions of records that are online, people don't realize that's only the tip of the iceberg. When you study genealogy, you need to study history, so you can place your answers in historical context. And so in order to flush out those other records, you have to go on site. Newberry Library has one of the largest collections of county histories in the country. So you can find a county history of where your ancestors lived, to understand what was going on in that county during that time period. In many situations, sometimes it can get very emotional, very moving. I mean, these were your ancestors. We have the same blood that they carried.
The Newberry is a treasure because we have staff that are dedicated to opening the doors of discovery of our amazing collection to the entire public.
The Newberry is home to one of the largest collections related to American Indian and Indigenous studies in the world. My job is to make sure that those communities represented in our collection feel comfortable here at the library, can feel like they can use our resources. Native people, Native communities are their own best keepers of their knowledge. So with Forest County Potawatomi and Santa Ana Pueblo, we're working to identify culturally sensitive materials in our collection related to their tribe and their history. I think it rightfully makes researchers pause and think about how these materials came into the library. How did we get these? What do these mean for tribal sovereignty or for the communities that they belong to? Communities really activate the collection. They bring it to life. They bring those stories, those words written on those papers, they bring it to life.
Our role at the Newberry Library is to preserve collections for future generations. It's easier said than done because we also have to make them accessible at this moment in different ways, whether it's in the reading room or for exhibition. It's a balancing act. Each new generation will look at history in the moment through a different lens. And the way we look at that object will likely be different. And so it's our job to preserve it so that others can interpret it uniquely. It's not just bound volumes and manuscripts. It can be maps, globes, printed matrices, printing blocks, type, We have such a range of objects in our collection that tell a story. In preparation for exhibit, every item comes through conservation. And then we work to create displays and mounts so they can be presented in their best light.
These exhibitions really bring the collection to life, and they tell stories that are interesting and important about the city of Chicago, or the history of printing, or even how road maps can help us track cultural shifts throughout the history of the United States. You can attend one of the many free programs we present throughout the year. These programs touch on a variety of topics, from medieval history to polar exploration, dance performances. We even host maker events where you can try your hand at something like calligraphy. We invite popular authors like Rebecca Mackay, Hanif Abdurraqib, and Eve Ewing to speak at the Newberry. And we also invite historians and scholars whose research is really groundbreaking and helps us understand our place in history. If you are ready to learn and think about big ideas with us, whether it's in our programming spaces, exhibition galleries, or reading rooms, there is a place for you at the Newberry.
The Newberry is for everyone.
We can be part of these legacies not only by taking advantage of what's here, but also by questioning it.
As president, I really look forward to welcoming you to the Newberry.